My wife stood behind my business partner with her hand on his shoulder like she owned the place. Shane didn't even look up from the paper he slid across the table. "You're terminated, Trent. Take your laptop and go. Kendra's COO now. Divorce papers hit your doorstep tomorrow." I stared at the pink slip. My name printed at the top, like a joke. Terminated. Like I was just some idiot intern who screwed up coffee orders. Security waited outside the glass doors. Two guys in matching jackets, arms folded, pretending I was a threat to the $1 million company I built from nothing. Kendra didn't blink. She just stood there, like this was a normal Tuesday. Her wedding ring sparkled under the recessed lighting. Same one I bought her with the first check we ever got. Shane leaned back in my chair, his now, and smiled like he was doing me a favor. I met his eyes. "How long has it been going on?" Kendra's mouth twitched, but she said nothing. Shane gave me that half-assed shrug like he couldn't be bothered. "A while." My fingers curled around the edge of the table. I didn't flip it. I didn't yell. That's what they were expecting. Some kind of meltdown to seal the narrative. Instead, I nodded slowly. "Got it." I stood up, adjusted my sleeves. Noticed they'd packed my old laptop bag for me, neatly zipped like a doggy bag for betrayal. Cute. "Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from." I took it, slung it over my shoulder, looked around the room one last time. The conference table I picked out, the mounted screens I coded pitch decks on, the logo on the wall that came from my sketch pad. All of it stolen, but I wasn't empty-handed. Not really. Because while they were busy screwing each other behind my back, I was building something they'd never understand. Something buried in lines of code and network protocols they couldn't pronounce. "Trent," Shane said, his voice suddenly cautious, like maybe this wasn't going the way he expected. "No hard feelings, all right?" I turned to him with the calmest face I've ever worn. "You'll feel it in 10 minutes. Then I walked out past security like I was headed to lunch. They didn't know it yet, but they were already bleeding. I didn't always walk out of glass offices in corporate betrayal. 3 years earlier, I was coding on a card table in a one-bedroom walk-up in Spokane, wearing the same hoodie for days and living off gas station burritos. Shane crashed on the pullout. He called it early-stage grind culture, but really, he just didn't want to pay rent. What he brought to the table was a smooth mouth and an overpriced MBA. Talked a big game about disrupting predictive analytics and financial fraud, whatever the hell that meant. I just smiled and built the engine from scratch. I was doing 18-hour coding marathons while he pitched VCs on Zoom from our bathroom because it had the best lighting. We'd hear the toilet flush in the middle of a call more than once. Didn't matter. He could sell ketchup to a woman in white gloves. And Kendra? She wasn't supposed to be part of the company. She was my wife. She worked nights at the hospital back then, but every morning she came home, sat on the floor with us, and helped sort through our invoices, our pitch decks, the nonsense Shane couldn't be bothered with. "You spelled compliance wrong again," she'd mutter, flipping through another draft. Shane grinned. "That's why we keep her around." I laughed too. Back then it felt like a compliment. We didn't pay ourselves, didn't hire staff. Kendra used a stack of shoeboxes as her desk. I remember her scribbling investor notes with a pink gel pen, because it was the only one that hadn't run dry. We were lean because we had no choice. "You really think this will work?" she asked once, half asleep with her head on my lap. "It has to," I said. "There's no plan B." We ran on caffeine, adrenaline, and the stupid kind of hope that only works when you've got nothing to lose. I coded until my fingers went numb. Shane sweet-talked the right guy at the right firm in Seattle, and suddenly we were invited to pitch in person. We borrowed my cousin's car and drove 4 hours on bald tires, practicing our deck in a McDonald's parking lot. I barely spoke at the meeting. Shane took lead, but he followed the script I wrote. That mattered. 3 days later, we got the call. 400 grand. Kendra screamed so loud she scared the neighbors. We didn't pop champagne. We split a warm 6-pack of Coors Light and collapsed on the hardwood floor, too tired to even high-five. That check changed everything. We moved into a shared office space with more broken furniture, bought second-hand monitors off Craigslist. Shane finally paid for his own meals. Kendra quit the hospital and came on full-time, on paper, just admin. But she handled investor reports, contracts, meeting schedules, stuff that kept us alive. "She's a weapon," Shane said once, watching her shut down a pushy client on a call. "You married up." I didn't disagree. Not back then. Still, we kept things tight. No fancy branding, no assistants. We grew the company by sweating for it. Every single line of code, every pitch deck, every client win. I thought we were unbreakable. I thought loyalty meant something when you bled for the same goal. So when Shane offered to bring her into board meetings more often, just to keep things running smooth, I didn't think twice. I told him, yeah, makes sense. And I handed him the keys without knowing it. Yeah, makes sense. That's what I said, like an idiot. First thing that changed, Shane started tweaking my updates before every pitch. I'd hand over the clean version, real numbers, real projections, and by the time he presented it, half the details were stripped out and his name was on top. "You're too deep in the weeds," he said, waving it off like I was the problem. "Let me translate it for the room." At first I let it slide. I figured maybe it was smart. Maybe he knew the investors better than I did. I was always more back-end than front-facing anyway. But then my calendar stopped updating. Client calls were rescheduled, meetings happened without me, and I started hearing secondhand what decisions had been made. I confronted him once. "You forget to add me to that board review on Wednesday?" Shane blinked. "Oh, weird. Must have been a glitch in the sync. Sorry, man." It was nothing big. Everything was always nothing big with him. Then Kendra started showing up at the office more often. At first I thought she was just stepping up. We were expanding fast, and she was always sharp with ops. But something felt off. She brought Shane coffee every morning, started remembering investor birthdays, even got balloons once. "She's just keeping morale up," Shane told me. "You've been kinda in the zone lately. Let her run point on the front-end stuff." "Front-end stuff?" I asked. He smiled like I was being sensitive. "You know, calls, scheduling, vibe. You focus on the tech. That's where you shine." Next thing I knew, she was staying late. They were both running numbers, cleaning up projections, finalizing contracts. I didn't even know we had contracts going out. I stayed quiet, watched, logged the little things. One night, I walked into the office around 9, couldn't sleep, thought I'd crank out a patch update. Lights were on, door cracked open. I heard her laugh, high and soft, the one she used to save for me. I paused. Shane's chair spun slightly as she leaned into it, his jacket draped over her shoulders like a blanket. They were looking at something on his laptop. Close, too close. My stomach flipped, but I didn't move, just stood there, staring through the crack like an idiot at my own wife wrapped in my co-founder's clothes. They didn't see me, didn't even look up. I backed away, slow, careful, walked out the same way I came in. No door slam, no questions, no confrontation, just quiet steps and clenched fists. I didn't confront them, didn't scream, didn't ask questions. I started watching. A week later, I brought lunch. Shane loved the chicken pho from this little Vietnamese joint down the street. I called ahead, picked it up, and told him I'd swing by with it around noon. When I got to the office, the front desk was empty. Kendra's coat was tossed over the back of a chair, her purse half open on the seat like she'd just stepped away. Shane's door was cracked, lights on. Her laptop was open on his desk. That stopped me cold. I should have turned around. I should have knocked or called out or done something normal, but my feet moved before I could think. I stepped inside. First tab, email, inbox wide open. My name in bold across multiple subject lines. One from Shane. "Once Trent's out, we'll restructure the cap table. I'll take interim CEO. Kendra can absorb ops. He'll fight it, but I've got control." Another from her. "Already documenting erratic behavior. He's been working late, missing meetings. I've saved the security footage." I clicked through faster than I could breathe. Dozens of emails, 4 months of them. Strategy meetings without me. Redline versions of my updates rewritten under Shane's name. Notes about cutting Trent out cleanly. They even had a timeline. I pulled my phone from my pocket and started snapping photos. I took 27. Angle, timestamp, the whole thread. Every single message that showed just how far back this betrayal went. My hands shook, but I got them all. Then I closed the laptop like it was never touched and unbagged the FIO, setting it on Shane's desk like I hadn't just watched my life catch fire. He walked in not 30 seconds later. "Smells amazing," he grinned, peeling off his jacket. I nodded. "Hot and fresh." He came over and clapped a hand on my shoulder, then leaned in and kissed my cheek like we were brothers. I felt nothing. Numb, like my skin didn't belong to me anymore. I smiled at him. I don't know how I pulled it off, but I smiled like nothing was wrong. "Enjoy, man," I said. "I'll catch you later." Then I walked out, made it halfway to my car, and damn near collapsed. My legs wouldn't work right. I got in, slammed the door shut, and drove. Not home, not back to the co-working space. I didn't even know where I was going until I pulled into a grocery store parking lot 3 miles away. I parked crooked across 2 lines and jumped out, bent over behind a dumpster, and threw up everything in my stomach. Pho, bile, air, whatever I had in me, it came out hard. People walked past like I wasn't even there. I stood there for a while, hand on the brick wall, sweating through my shirt. Then I wiped my mouth, grabbed my phone, and opened the camera roll, flipped through every shot, one by one. Proof. I got back to the apartment and didn't sleep, didn't eat. I sat down at my machine and started writing code like my hands were possessed. The failsafe was the first thing. Contingency logic built to mimic an outside breach. Something that would look like a slow burn intrusion from offshore IPs. Not destructive, just disruptive. I baked in lag to the API calls, randomized the session timeouts, rotated key access with synthetic anomalies, stuff that would spook any serious client without throwing up an internal flag. It was surgical. I knew exactly which parts of the system to weaken and which ones to leave untouched. At 3:41 a.m., I encrypted the payload and set the trigger, manual key, time-delayed option, and a remote toggle. No one would find it unless they were inside my head. Then I moved to documentation. I went through every Git commit from the beginning, logged each update I'd written, date-stamped every major innovation. I screenshotted my repo history, the architecture files, the feature map, labeled it all, then backed it up 3 different ways. Cloud mirror, physical external, and a cold encrypted drive I stashed behind the breaker panel in the hallway. I knew how this was going to go. If they fired me, they'd paint me as unstable, lazy, technical but unreliable. I needed receipts that made their story fall apart the second it left their mouths. Next came the real rot, money trails. I'd seen weird payments for months, operational overhead, vendor pass-throughs, and one weird shell labeled Davis & Knox Logistics. I followed it. Turned out to be a shell in Topeka, Kansas. Registered under Kendra's brother-in-law. They were moving small sums through it, consulting fees, backdated invoices, enough to go unnoticed, but not if someone connected the dots. So I did. Screenshots, paper trail, state business registry entries. I cross-referenced it all with internal expenses that had no real service behind them. Shane signed most of them. Kendra signed the rest. They were laundering investor cash right through the front door. After that, I picked up a burner phone from the corner store, bought a pocket voice recorder from the same place, started recording every meeting I was in, strategy sessions, calls with investors, even casual hallway chats. Shane talked a lot when he thought he was on top. So did Kendra. "I'm thinking we push Trent out before Q3, she said once. "Play up the burnout angle. People already think he's a little scattered." Shane laughed. "If he flames out on his own, even better." I smiled right there at the table and nodded like I agreed, took a bite of my bagel like I wasn't memorizing every word. I kept showing up to work, head down, doing exactly what they told me to. Focus on the tech. Don't worry about the meetings. Let Kendra handle the calls. Let Shane take the board lead. They thought I was breaking down, thought they were beating me. I watched the front doors close behind me, laptop bag over my shoulder, heart rate steady. 10 minutes. That's all it needed. By the time I reached my truck and fired up my hotspot, the first alert hit my private server. Login delay triggered, back-end sync latency at 14.6s, API key rotation stalled. It was live. Subtle stuff, nothing that screamed attack, just small failures stacking one after another. From the outside, it looked like a data breach, internationals sniffing the edge of the system, maybe testing vulnerabilities. I built it that way for a reason. I leaned back in the seat and cracked the window. The rain was light, just enough to smear the glass. I could see the office lights from here, second floor glowing like they didn't know they were already drowning. Emails were bouncing, access tokens were looping, sync queues overloaded, all by design. At 8:52 a.m., the first red alert lit up, Pacific Equity Backend timeout. That was their biggest client. By 9:03, another one, Realmark server rejection. At 9:11, Nextform's internal dashboard went black for 7 whole minutes. Then came the calls. First, a junior tech frantically pinged me on Slack. I didn't respond. Then, a wave of missed calls started rolling in. At 9:16, Kendra's name lit up my screen. I watched it ring, let it go to voicemail. At 9:30, Shane called. I picked up. His voice cracked before the greeting. "Trent, listen, man. Okay, there's something going on with the back end. We're getting flooded. API failures, sync loops. Can you come in? I didn't say a word. Just let the silence hang. He rushed to fill it. Look, we'll reinstate you. You want equity? Name the percentage. Hell, you want CTO? Done. You want more than that? We'll talk terms. Just fix this. You should have thought of that, I said, calm as ever. Before you tried to erase me. His breath caught. Kendra didn't. Save it. Click. I ended the call. I refreshed my server dashboard. Client complaints doubled in the last 20 minutes. Investors were forwarding threads. Their whole system was folding on itself, and they didn't even know which button killed it. Then a new alert. Pacific Equity withdrawal. Gone. That deal alone had covered half of their next quarter. Without it, the company was exposed. I kept watching through the windshield, watched Shane's silhouette pacing in the glass conference room, saw Kendra come in fast, phone in hand, hair tied back like she was about to give orders. Didn't matter. The code was already sunk into the foundation. They could slap on patches all day. It'd still fall. At 9:44, a group of engineers ran into the server room. Lights flickered. At 10:12, Nextform's status page changed to degraded. By 10:30, it went offline. I closed my laptop, slid it back into the bag, and started the engine. I'd seen all I needed to. Let them scramble. I wasn't fixing a damn thing. By the time I got home, Nextform security was trending on Twitter. Hashtags were flying. Safeguard implosion, data downfall, CEO fail. I scrolled through screenshots and memes while eating cold mac and cheese straight out of the container. Someone leaked a video. Shane losing it in the server room, red-faced, screaming at a junior dev who looked like he was about to cry. Another clip showed Kendra in the boardroom, slamming her laptop shut and hurling it across the table. It landed hard, screen side down. Whole room went dead quiet. They thought they were untouchable. Now they were just another tech flameout, going viral for all the wrong reasons. CNBC called my phone at 7:43 p.m. Some producer with a fake sympathy voice asked if I'd be willing to share my side of the story. I declined. No statement, no comment, no spotlight. That night, I sent my lawyer everything. Code logs, shell company docs, call recordings, emails. He called me 20 minutes later. Jesus, Trent, this isn't a paper trail, it's a noose. Then pull it tight, I said. Next morning, headlines dropped. FBI opens inquiry into Nextform finances. SEC investigating alleged money. Laundering co-founder, shakeup raises. Legal red flags. Turns out one of the shell core linked to Kendra's brother-in-law had popped on an unrelated audit. Cross-referenced accounts lit up like Christmas. The moment my lawyer filed the fraud claim on the partnership agreement, everything changed. They hadn't removed me properly. No written cause, no board vote, just a smug little pink slip. And that meant one thing. My ownership stake, still mine. Kendra went silent. Shane tried to spin it, called it a temporary technical disruption. But the damage was done. Half their client base backed out in 48 hours. Investors froze their next round. I stayed quiet, didn't post, didn't comment, didn't correct a single article. Let them guess, let them spiral, let them burn. While they were getting chewed up in the press, I was already rebuilding. Quiet server rooms, trusted vendors, clean paperwork, all in my name. No more co-founders, no more trust falls, no more shared keys. By the end of the week, Shane's LinkedIn said, currently exploring new opportunities. Kendra's was deleted completely. I turned off notifications, shut my laptop, and went to sleep. Best sleep I'd had in 3 years. 3 weeks later, Shane knocked on my door at 6:42 in the morning. I opened it still in sweatpants, coffee half made, wondering who the hell was stupid enough to come uninvited. He looked like hell. Hair greasy, eyes bloodshot, jacket wrinkled like he'd slept in it. I'll give you everything, he said. No, hey, no, how are you? Just that. Just help me fix this. I leaned against the doorframe. You got a hell of a memory for the guy who tried to erase me. His lips cracked open. We can't stabilize. We're bleeding clients. You come back, we survive. I didn't blink. I've got conditions. He nodded fast, desperate. Name it. 1, I control every inch of product dev going forward. Architecture, roadmap, release strategy. You don't touch it. Done. 2, Kendra's out. Permanently. No advisor role. No backdoor ops. Out. He hesitated, just long enough to confirm what I already knew. He was still protecting her. She's toxic to the brand, I added. Even your board sees it. Fine, he muttered. She's gone. My attorney drew up the terms the next day. 51% split across the board. Shane lost his majority. I took 49, plus veto power on all future product moves. If I didn't sign off, it didn't ship. He signed without a single red line. Walking back into that office felt surgical. Lights still flickered in the east hallway. Same dead potted plant by the kitchen. But now, people moved different, quieter, eyes down. Shane wasn't the alpha anymore. He was the guy who'd nearly killed the company. Every board member treated him like he had a ticking clock above his head. He said little, smiled fake, nodded a lot. I didn't bother unpacking my stuff. Went straight to the server room, then locked myself in for 8 hours a day. I rebuilt the entire back end from scratch. New protocols, clean containers, fresh logic. No one touched a single line unless I reviewed it. By week 6, we were stable. By week 8, I landed 3 returning clients under my name. Not Shane's, not Nextform's, mine. The tech blogs flipped overnight. From collapse to comeback. Inside the Nextform rebuild. CTO returns, company stabilizes. A miracle in code, they called. CNBC again, Wired, TechCrunch. Everyone wanted a quote. I ignored them all. Let the headlines speak for me. I didn't need to prove a damn thing. I already had. By Q2, we were back in the black. Not thriving, but stable. I knew the numbers better than anyone. Profit margins tight, overhead trimmed down, contracts short-term and cautious, but no red flags. Solvent. Shane didn't say much anymore. Showed up late, ducked out early, never challenged anything. One day he sent an email to the board with the subject line, transfer of shares, immediate execution. He sold his chunk to cover legal fees. No announcement, no farewell. Just slipped out like a thief who realized the vault was empty. Nobody heard from him for months. As for Kendra, she vanished faster. Her name came up in some ethics panels, flagged on a few procurement reports. Blacklisted from 2 VC firms. Word traveled. Last I heard, she was working front desk at a hotel off the strip in Reno. Didn't even use her last name anymore. Good. We got a licensing offer from a mid-sized analytics firm out of Denver. Sharp people, solid infrastructure, zero ego. They wanted to build their fraud arm on top of our engine. They asked about partnership. I shut that down before they finished the sentence. No co-founders. You want the engine, you license it. My terms. They agreed. Next board meeting, I walked in, pulled out Shane's old chair, and sat at the head of the table. Nobody blinked. Nobody said a word. They all knew who kept the lights on, who fixed the code, who brought clients back. The seats were full, but the room was mine. I pulled up the roadmap for Q3, laid out the build phases, pointed to the team leads. I didn't explain myself. I didn't pitch anything. I just moved forward. One board member nodded. Another jotted notes. It was all quiet, all smooth, no chaos, no second voices stepping in to translate. Afterwards, someone patted my shoulder. That was clean, clear, good direction. I nodded, packed up my laptop, and left. No victory speech, no gloating. I didn't need to spike the football. I was the field. A few months later, my phone rang from a blocked number. I almost let it go. But curiosity's a stubborn thing. I answered, waited. Shane's voice came through, low and hoarse. You really built something special. I said nothing. I didn't see it when I should have, he added. You didn't want to see it. He paused. Fair. There was a long beat of silence. Then he tried again. If I could go back... You can't. My tone didn't shift. I'm not your fix anymore. I hung up and blocked the number. That was the last time I heard his voice. Now I run Iron Signal Tech. 12 clients, all clean, all direct. No boardrooms full of politics. No handshakes hiding blades. No partners. Just my name on the door, my code behind the scenes, my rules on the table. I kept it lean. 3 devs, 1 ops lead, and a zero bullshit policy that scared off every fake founder in the valley. The work? Solid. Predictive fraud detection built off my original architecture. Rebuilt, refined, untouchable. Every system traces back to my private repo. I've got my signature embedded in the code like a watermark. If anyone tries to steal it, I'll know. I drive a black Tacoma with no bumper stickers. Live alone. Coffee at 5, gym at 6, code by 7. I sleep like a rock. People ask if it was worth it. If the revenge satisfied the damage. I don't give them answers. I give them uptime stats and delivery rates. Because in this world, stability talks louder than scars. And yeah, people love to say revenge is messy, that it eats you from the inside, Turns you bitter, makes you cold. Mine wasn't. Mine was clean, surgical, precise. Just took 10 minutes. And if they ever forget what I'm capable of, I've still got the original code, and I've still got the timer.